Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft. Here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It is Friday. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Get my stuff together.
I was thinking about my partner last night.
What'd you think about?
Watching all those fast 40s at the Combine, and I remember that time you ran a 4.8 for my Dallas Cowboys at your pro day. 4.8. That's what they told me.
You know what? You need to stop disseminating information that's untrue.
Speed is not everything, right?
It is not the end all be all.
Nope.
4.8. You ended up just fine.
Yeah.
I think that's the lesson.
Jenny, please don't repeat that. You know, repetition of untruth doesn't make it true.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't want to know what I would get if I was seen running. So we have so much to get to today. Does LeBron have a shot at catching Giannis in the MVP race?
How we know he ain't in the league?
Catching. Plus, I'm excited about this. Patriots superfan Mark Wahlberg in studio with us later. He's going to discuss where he thinks Tom Brady is going to end up. Is he staying? Is he leaving New England? But first, we do have to talk about the Cowboys. The Dallas Morning News is reporting that the contract offered Dak Prescott back in September included $33 million a year with $100 million in guaranteed money. One team source said that it would help Dak if he contacted the Jones family himself instead of letting his agent handle things. And yesterday, Jerry said the deal is more than just Dak. Take a listen.
This is a deal that ultimately I have to do, and will have to. When I say do, I have to sign the check. So it's got to fit, and it has to fit a lot of things. And for me, this is not about Dak. It's about the team and about how to win. And that's not being in any way negative. I think the world of Dak, but it's about the team, and if it doesn't feel right, it won't happen.
All right, Shannon, should Dak make the call to Jerry?
Hell no. That's why you hire an agent. You know, Dak got rid of his original agent and signed with a company you two guys know very well, CAA. He went and got Todd France for this very reason. So in other words, and you see what they're doing, Jerry's good. Because Jerry and these owners, what they do, they'll put it out there for some of these media guys to go do it. So, in other words, Dak, why don't you call Jerry yourself and let him take advantage of you? Because Jerry is used to doing hundreds of $1 million deals. Dak is not. So I got a representative. So that's like me having a lawyer. Hey, Shannon, why you don't get rid of your lawyer and just go to the court by yourself? Really? And let somebody that's trained, a prosecutor or another attorney, go head-to-head with Shannon Sharpe that's unqualified to do this when I got representation. I wish I might do that, Jenny. Come on. Stop this. Skip, I think after you hearing Jerry Jones, you not feeling as good as you were before this deal will get done. But I told you
I am not.
Skip, I told you from the very beginning that this was about Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. There's no way in hell once those two guys signed, that Dak was going to sign behind them and take less money.
Okay.
And that's where we are. Skip, I do not believe, and I don't believe you believe, that Khalil Mack is a better player than Aaron Donald. But he got more money than Aaron Donald because he signed after Aaron Donald.
Okay.
Dak Prescott has said, hold on, these guys signed. Okay, they got whatever they got, 108 guaranteed, one got 112 guaranteed, average about 32 and a half, 33 million. You want me to take 32 and 100 million, which is less than what they got. So in other words, you want me, because they're advancing the football. So in other words, if I take this contract, I'm going backwards. Agents going to be upset, or the players are going to be upset because, Skip, we keep trying to push this thing forward. It's kind of like the stock market. We want it to keep climbing. Yep. We don't ever want to have a sell-off. No. And Jerry's played hardball now because Jerry mad. Because this is the first time somebody said, Jerry, hell no. How you tell Jerry Jones no, Jerry? You know it's hard to tell Jerry Jones no. Because that's what Todd France and Dak Prescott's doing right now, Skip. They're telling him no. This is what it's going to take to get it signed. Don't need no $40 million, but I'm not taking less guaranteed money. I'm not taking less money than Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. That's not going to happen because maybe if you sign me before them, that $100 million guarantee, Skip, that looks good. but I'm signing that not knowing what these two guys in my draft class got. Now, I won just as many division titles as Carson Wentz. Might have a better win-loss record than Carson Wentz.
Well, he does.
So I can't take less. And Jerry, Jerry's trying to play hardball now. He's sitting back in his chair, Jenny. You see, he's sitting back in the chair. He's like, I got to do this deal. I don't mean to sound negative. What you signing?
If it doesn't feel right, it won't happen.
Hey.
I have a responsibility to my salary cap first.
And Dak Prescott and Tar France says if it doesn't feel right,
we won't do
it. It won't happen.
Okay.
Something's going to have to give. Now, it seems like this tag is brewing. This franchise tag is brewing. It's right around the corner because they're going to have to make a decision in the next 2 weeks.
Coming right down the pipe.
And you and I both know they're not letting Dak hit the open market. So they're going to tag him. It's already bad blood. See, it's best when things are like this is, Skip. Jerry, don't say anything. Don't say it's best not to even say anything. So just let it go, Skip. And you keep saying, well, he's making this millions of dollars off the. Drew Brees is the highest paid football player in Dorsey, $16 million. Tom Brady's at $12 million. We looked this up. Steve and I stayed up all night. Russ and Aaron Rodgers at 9. OBJ is at 5. Matt Ryan is at 5. Saquon Barkley is at 4.5.
I don't buy any of that. I think, I'm sorry, how do you know? Nobody discloses any of this.
Well, how did this get disclosed?
He's got 12 national TV endorsement contracts. I'm sorry, you can't tell me he's making under $3 million for 12 deals.
Skip.
It's too much.
I'm just
They're
saying,
too big.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe LeBron James is making $50+ million? Roger Federer is doing $50 million in endorsements?
Probably way more than that. Okay. That's what I would think.
Okay.
It's hard to know. And everybody always writes about they don't disclose. So you're guessing on that one.
All I'm saying is this. Well, how you going to say $50 million? Why not say $100 million? If you're going to disclose a number, because somebody put that out there. I believe somebody in the Cowboys camp put that out there. So if we put that out there, guess what, Jenny? The fans are going to say, Dak, you making $50 million. Why can I give Jerry a discount?
Okay.
Oh.
Here we go. Now I'm going to draw upon my considerable Dallas Cowboy historical knowledge.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the teams I covered through the 1990s, the Cowboy dynasty that should have won like 5 straight Super Bowls, and we're going to get to the reason they didn't in just a moment, because it has to do with Jerry and his ego and his temper, okay? So what was the mantra in the locker room of the 1990s Cowboys? 1990s, this is Michael Irvin, Emmett,
Troy.
Company. Those two especially. The mantra was, if you got contract issues, make the call. Jerry Jones, to me, is the biggest pushover owner in sports, maybe in sports history, if you make the call. And I get what you said, and I'm going to get to the principle of what you're saying about CAA. But they decided that they all realized the breakthrough in any negotiation with Jerry would not come agent to Jerry or agent to Stephen Jones. It would come player to Jerry. So my classic anecdote was one Tuesday, off day, I just happened to be walking through the foyer at the front entrance to the Cowboy facility, not the locker room entrance, and I bump into, remember Nate Newton?
I do.
And Nate Newton was this USFL cast-off fat kid who almost couldn't make the team his first year, who transformed his body into a dominating Pro Bowl offensive guard. He was a dominator.
He was.
And it was time for him to get paid. And I saw him walk in the front door of the facility. I said, "What are you doing here on Tuesday?" He said, "I'm going up to see Mr. Jones." And I said, "Oh, you mean Daddy?" And he winked at me like, "Yep." And the next thing I knew, 2 days later, it was announced Nate got paid big because he went and appealed to Daddy. Again, Jerry views himself as daddy to all those players who will play up to him. You have to break the ice and come to him. You have to play to his daddy ego, okay? So it just kept happening. Michael Irvin could just play daddy and just turn him in circles when it came to contracts. Emmett tried to challenge daddy, and it cost him 2 games. They lost the first 2 games, but then it was Emmett who broke the ice, and he got in touch with Jerry and said, "Let's do that. Let's figure this out."
Right.
Okay? So it's making the call.
Right.
And then we have a long history, more recent, Romo, he didn't make the call. He just about lived with Daddy, like he was a son. So you keep bringing up the Romo deal. It was outrageous what he did. He made him wasn't the highest paid overall player in football?
He was, 55 guaranteed,
and
108.
He hadn't earned it, except maybe at the box office, because he was a roller coaster ride every Sunday. You didn't know what you were going to get from him. Would he throw 4 touchdown passes or throw one to Denver to end the game against Peyton, right?
Oh, he threw 5 and like 500 yards that day.
There you go. and then we had this series of DeMarcus Ware was back in that day, and now Sean Lee made the call. DeMarcus Lawrence really made the call and got $100 million. Are you kidding me? And we came all the way up to Zeke. Remember, Zeke came back from Cabo and made the call when it looked like he was going to stay in Cabo for a couple of games, right? A couple of real games. Okay, so my point is, this is one way to go, but you have to swallow your pride and you have to tell your agent to back off. I got this. I'm going to try this way to break the impasse, right? Okay, so again, you're represented by CAA. I'm represented by CAA. It's a great company. We believe in it. We trust it. And so does Dak Prescott. So his attitude, I'm guessing right now, is I changed agents and went to CAA for a reason. For this very reason, because they're really good at what they do. I'm going to trust them to do what they do.
Remember, we talked about it last year, Skip. Anthony Davis did what? He changed agents to go to Clutch for a reason. Skip, you're not changing agents just because. You changed for a very specific reason.
Well, that was a connection reason to get to the Lakers.
Dak Prescott could have went to a lot of different agents. He came here for a reason.
Okay. So now we get back to what is going on in the big picture. Yesterday was the first report of any number. I told you on the show yesterday, I don't know one number from either side until the Dallas Morning News last night did report that way back in September, the offer that sat on the table untouched by Dak and Todd France was a $33 million average, but they were going back and forth. The two camps were fighting over exactly how much guaranteed got offered, but it's somewhere around 100. And your man Carson Wentz had already gotten 108 guaranteed. This is the guarantee, right? Okay, so the 33 was still pretty good because it was the 5th highest average in the league. Because you got Russell Wilson at 35, Ben at 34, Goff and Aaron Rodgers at 33.5. So it was decent. It wasn't insulting. But you could argue that if it's around 100 guaranteed, you could argue that's an insult when Carson Wentz got a 108.
Thank you. And that's what we talk. That's what I said, Skip. The guarantee is what I'm looking for.
Okay. So again, there's an X factor still missing, and it's the Todd France X factor. We still have no idea how much is he asking for. They are dug in at what? Do they want 45? I don't know.
No.
Well, I don't know that. Do they want 42? Do they want a number that if you really knew what their number was, that they will not budge from? Even Shannon Sharpe might say, you know what, that's just out of bounds.
I believe, Skip, the guarantee is the holding point. Because Skip, all that other stuff about you, okay, let's just say Jerry says, okay, I know you want to be the first $40 million quarterback. Okay, I do 5 years, $200 million. Skip, that's $40 million. What are the guarantees? What good is $200 million on paper if I'm only willing to give you $60 million guaranteed?
Fair enough. I don't know. Are they asking for 125 guaranteed? Are they asking for money that even Shannon Sharpe would say, that's just unrealistic for what he's accomplished?
No, because knowing that the cap has gone up 30% since Dak entered the league, and this part is going to go up again. So that's going to be an average of $10, $15 million a year moving forward, Skip.
Flip side. I know Jerry all too well. Again, spent hundreds of hours around him as I wrote 3 books on the Cowboys, and he was involved in all 3 of them heavily. What did I learn about Jerry? He can be the biggest pushover owner if you play to his ego, his daddy ego. But if you cross this man, he might have the worst temper I've ever seen. I'm talking about a terror of a temper that once it goes over the edge, it cannot be, it can't be controlled.
Be reined back in,
It can't be reined back in. So what did we see? We saw Jimmy Johnson cross him at an owners meeting in Tampa. And Jerry, because he wouldn't toast when Jerry proposed a toast at a table of Cowboy coaches, Jerry just slammed his beer down or whatever drink it was and stormed out and went back to the hotel and saw 2 Dallas reporters at the hotel bar and called them over and announced to them in anger, knee-jerk anger, I'm going to fire Jimmy Johnson, who had just won 2 Super Bowls. Think about that.
Back-to-back.
Back-to-back Super Bowls. Now, has that ever happened in the history of this league? Will it ever happen again?
No.
It will not.
No.
I doubt. I mean, I guess it could, but I doubt it. It was out of sheer raw anger that had built up over a year or so, maybe a couple of years, of Jimmy insulting Jerry, saying, get out of the football operation in front of coaches and staffers.
Right.
Okay, that's the guy you have to be careful of, because if you push him the wrong way, he's liable to do anything. He's liable to say, let's trade Dak and let's go get Brady. Let's do it. You know, if push comes to shove, he will shove back. And what did he do to Bill Parcells? Parcells in that last year did go 9-7, and they did make the playoffs. And Romo, of all people, did bobble the snap at Seattle, right?
He did.
Okay, so they had actually made the playoffs, which since 1995 is pretty good for the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yep.
And he fired him because they were clashing over Terrell Owens mostly, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see there are 2 big men with big egos.
Yes.
Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells, 2 all-time great coaches, and he fired both of them because of temper, because you can't cross that man. You can play up to him, but you can't cross him.
But I look at Dak and what he's gone through in his life, and a man that's overcome what he's overcome, having to deal with his mom's situation.
Got it.
This is Skip. I believe Dak is wired differently than Michael and Emmett and some of these other guys. Dak is his own man, and Dak says, look, I hired representation for a reason. Now, Skip, I am not going to talk to, because here's the thing. Yeah, those guys talked to them, but what could they have gotten if they had someone that's qualified to do the offer?
I don't know, because I look at these deals and saw them at the time as really pro player.
Yeah,
seriously.
No,
like
the deal got done. My thing is, Dak is looking at it like, okay, you come to me with this. After I already saw Wentz get 108 guaranteed, Skip.
All right, and to your point.
And then Goff came and got, 112, 113 after that.
He did. What have I told you from the start I love the most about Dak Prescott? His football character, his backbone, his guts, his playmaking, just his intangibles, what he's made of. They're all operating right now against Jerry because he's the one quarterback in Cowboy history who kept an arm's length.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to buddy up to Jerry because he wants to be the voice of the locker room.
Right.
He doesn't want to look like...
Viewed as a teacher's pet, like, oh, that's Jerry talking, that ain't Dak.
Yeah, or somebody you can't trust. No, you can trust this guy because he's not close to Jerry.
I agree.
He's not Jerry's eyes and ears in the locker room.
This is a blessing and a curse for Jerry because Jerry has held on to some players that he should have let go a long time ago, but he had gotten so close. He views them as the very thing that you said, like they're his kids. Yeah. Like, man, I can't, no matter what, for the most part, I mean, obviously there are certain situations, but for the most part, Skip, it's hard for a parent to jettison a child. And that's how Jerry views his player. Jerry want to go out with a drink. He'll have them over. He'll go out and drink. He see them out. He'll drink with them, send them. But, Skip, you got to have a fight. The difference is between, and I believe Coach Belichick is that Coach Belichick realizes that there's going to come a time, and I'm going to have to part ways with you. That's what Coach.
That's true. That's what he does. That's how he operates.
When great players are retiring or you have to trade them, you're going to have to release them. It tears a lot of owners and head coaches up.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Coach Belichick ain't lost one night of sleep about what's transpired with Tom Brady.
Correct. And what did I tell you? Brady's friends had always told me over the last 10 years that he was always sort of surprised and amused that Belichick wouldn't socialize with him at all in the office.
Right.
Wouldn't play golf with him, wouldn't have dinner with him.
Very odd.
Because arm's length.
I got to.
Just in case, I got to be the general. If I have to make a decision in battle, I don't want to love you.
Right.
I don't want to.
Because it clouds your judgment.
Yeah.
David had to get punished for a very reason, Skip. He sent Bathsheba's guy to the light. Yeah, he had to get punished. There's a reason why you don't have higher-ups messing with subordinates.
Okay.
It clouds their judgment. And so Jerry is like, call Jerry. And Dak's like, I don't want to cross that line. I feel my play has called Jerry for me. These 2 division titles, this Rookie of the Year, Skip, he's 40. He won 40 games in his first 4 years. That's pretty damn good.
Well, in his 4 years, he's won the second most games to the guy who's momentarily in Foxborough still.
Skip, that's got to be worth something, right?
Yep.
That's got to be worth something.
Okay, back to the endorsements, and we're disagreeing over how much they're worth, but he does have 12 that I know of national TV commercials. For him, I believe that has served as something of a safety net because he's not making very much money.
No.
But at least, because we talk about the $300,000 players who are going to vote yes on the CBA, well, they need the money.
Right.
But right now, Dak can say, I make chicken feed money for playing quarterback, but because I am this guy, I do get this. So I got a backup, right? Okay, so that's his safety net. For Jerry, that has become a roadblock in the negotiations because he's using that against him, saying, you got to give me a little America's team discount because you're playing that position.
Well, Skip, for me, I don't think that's fair because it's not like these companies, these marketers are just cutting Dak check. He's having to work for that. He's having to show up. He's having to do appearances. He has to do commercials and so forth and so on. I would hate for Fox to use against me. Well, Shannon, you got all these speaking engagements now. You need to cut us some slack.
You know what? I'm starting to think you should cut me some slack. I'm prepping all night and you're speaking. Come on.
Got one next week.
Itself. It's a big commitment.
Man, liquor license. You know what liquor license cost out here? But anyway, Skip, look, I get it. And Jerry is saying if it doesn't fit, it's got to work. I think Jerry is trying to show strength in this situation. Like, Dak, I'm not budging.
Yeah.
And Todd France and Dak says, okay, there's a reason why we hadn't talked since September, because it was Steven, Skip, that let that cat out the bag. We thought they were kind of negotiating behind the scenes. But Steven said, they were where they were and we were kind of where we were at. And
okay. So this is just me, my 2 cents from a distance. If Dak Prescott called me this afternoon and asked me, what would you do in my position? I would say, as much as I love and believe in CAA, I would make the call because I believe the heavens would open and you would get more money this way playing to his ego, the daddy ego, than if you continue to play hardball with him.
He ain't playing hardball, Skip. He just won't fair market.
Again, I don't know how hard the ball is on the other side.
We don't know that.
Well,
we knew.
But how about this here? Let's start with more guaranteed money than golf got because I'm signing after golf. That's the way, Skip, that's how it goes. It's not about, this guy, because you and I both know, Tom Brady should have been making $30 million 10 years ago.
All right.
Complicated it with what he was making.
But Tom Brady, this is all Tom Brady's fault.
But you win Super Bowl, so then it's
But this is all Tom Brady's fault, Skip, because everybody says, look what Tom is doing in New England and look what they're doing. So everybody automatically assume that everybody should take a discount. No!
9 Super Bowls, 6 victories.
Yes!
But, just sometimes I have to wrap my head around. We're talking about $100 million guaranteed versus 108, which I know it's a quarterback's game. But that is a lot of money.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question.
Sometimes.
When it comes to doing these mega $1 million deals, $100 million deals, how many times do you think Jerry called a company or he has his agent negotiating on his behalf? Why does Jerry Jones not, when a deal needs to get done, why does he go meet him personally? He have representation.
Okay, but Jerry is a super salesman, and I can promise you he's made some calls to people he's negotiating with and appealed to them from the super salesman perspective and gotten things done on the phone.
Well, he surely...
And I'm going to, again, my final thought is if Dak called me this afternoon, I would also say on the flip side, Jimmy Johnson. I would remind him that if you push this man too far, he's liable to do anything, including just cutting you, just letting you go.
Do that.
Okay?
Because I guarantee you, Dak Prescott on the open market, if I'm Dak, I'm like, I'm not calling you, Jerry. I ain't got nothing to say. You talk to Todd France, and if I resign, I'll talk to you as much as I want. Release me. I guarantee you Dak Prescott will get more than $100 million guaranteed on the open market. You believe he gets that on the open market, Skip?
I don't think he could get much more than that. That would be somewhere in that ballpark. I don't think he could get much more than what's been offered.
Skip, hold on.
You're the one who gave him Fs every Sunday.
That being said...
There's a groundswell of people out there who just don't even believe in him.
How many 26-year-old free agent quarterbacks have we ever seen hit the market that was not damaged?
I got it.
Even Drew Brees, Skip. Drew Brees couldn't get what he was deserving because of the shoulder. You're right.
Yep.
really
Peyton Manning. Imagine if Peyton Manning, Skip, had no injury history and hit the open market. Yeah, he got almost $20 million and couldn't throw the ball but 10 yards. Can you imagine what he would have got if he was healthy? Mm-hmm. Oh, Dak Prescott gonna say, man, Dak gonna get that 30, and free agent, you know they overpay. You know everybody overpays in free agency.
Well, Dak better be careful because Tom Brady might be making this.
Hey, well, how do you
Brady.
let him make it?
How he
let him make it.
things.
Well, I go to New England and win it with Cole Belichick.
No mercy.
The football world was focused on Indianapolis yesterday during the NFL Combine. The wide receiver group participated in the 40-yard dash that included Alabama's Henry Ruggs putting up an impressive 4.27 time. Michael Irvin, though, was quick to point out that sometimes too much speed can hurt players. Take a listen.
If you give a cornerback any inkling that you're breaking down or taking too many steps, he's closing on that ball so quickly. It's all about control. Those fast guys have to learn how to run fast under control. You know, it's funny, as we look around in the Nischke luncheon room, we've never seen a guy in there that ran a 4.3 with the gold jacket. You know, and I know we put a lot of emphasis on speed out here, but there's no one in there that really ran a 4.3 that has earned a gold jacket.
All right. It is interesting. Shannon, does Irvin have a point?
He does, Skip. Skip, you can run fast and then you can play fast. Okay. Those are two different things, and I don't think people really understand that. Jerry Rice did not run fast. Shannon Sharpe didn't run fast. Steve Largent didn't run fast, but they played fast. Running route, Skip, is all about creating separation. It's about getting in and out of breaks. And what Michael is talking about is like when you're fast, in order for you to get, unless you're running a go route, which is there are more outs, ins, comebacks than go routes in the playbook. Yep. So what Michael is saying is that when you run something other than a go route and you have to decelerate to get out of that break, he said the DB is going to close. He's going to drive on the football. If he sees that you're starting to chop, because Skip, nobody runs a go route chopping. So he's going to drive on the ball. He sees you breaking down what we call putting the blink on, where you got to and get out of that break.
Yep.
They're coming. So if you can't play, Skip, if you can't drop your hips and get out of that break in a hurry, you got no chance. I don't care how fast you are, because you got to realize those DBs, Skip, they get paid max dollars to run as fast backwards as you do forward. So they're really good. They're the best athletes on the field. And I love play wide receiver with a tight end. But the DBs, those guys are better athletes. So Michael is absolutely right. Can the guy transition? Can he set something up? Because, as I said before, there's only one go route.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that you can do off the go route.
Yep.
But if you can't sell that, Skip, if you can't drop your hips and get in and out of that break, now there's, obviously it's hard for me to believe, Skip, that Bob Hayes didn't run 4.3. He won the gold medal in the 100-meter dash in the 1960 Olympics. 64, excuse me. Randy Moss. But for the most part now, Skip, what we're seeing is that, and when Michael came out and when I came out, Skip, guys didn't leave for 8 weeks, go to these camps in L.A. and Texas and Florida, and just train specifically.
To learn how to run 40 yards.
Right.
Yeah.
Skip, but here's the thing. Guys that are fast, look, you can take a guy that runs 4 fast and teach him technique, and you can get him to 4.4. You can't get a guy that runs 5 flat and teach him to run 4.4.
No.
So either you're fast or you're not. Now, technique is what can help you run a little faster. You can go from 4.4 to 4.3 with the proper technique. But if you're 5 flat, you're not coming down, because, see, that's what that's what they like, Skip.
Okay.
See, if you're fast, I can teach you how to run routes. I can teach you how to catch the ball and focus more. I can do drills like that. Either you're fast or you're not. It's kind of like height in basketball. Skip, I can teach you how to dribble and set picks and all that. I can't teach you how to be 7 foot if you're 6'5". I can't do that. So Mike is absolutely right, and we put so much emphasis on speed. Oh, yeah, he can run. How many times is Ruggs gonna get an opportunity to open up and use 4.27? Well, he better be able to drop his hip, because when you run that fast, it's just like any car, Skip. You start going 100 miles an hour, it's going to take you longer to slow down than me going 50 miles an hour. So that's the difference. The deceleration, and you're going to tip defensive backs off, and they're going to drive on you. Shad had that thing and just fall out the chair on the
That was it.
That speed out, couldn't nobody do anything with it, Skip.
Just kind of lull them to sleep.
Yeah, the next thing you know what, Jenny?
Oh.
I ran a 4.67.
Yeah.
But do you know who has the longest playoff touchdown from scrimmage in NFL history? Oh, 4.67, Shay.
Tell me.
That me.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, Shay, 4.67. I ain't run 4.2, ain't run 4.3, ain't run 4.4, no 4.5.
The
4.67
Cowboys
it
told
is.
me you ran 4.8 for them.
You see? Did you see what the Cowboys missed out on?
You lulled them to
See what the Cowboys missed out on? And they're supposed to be the head. You know, Tex Stram started all this combine stuff in 40 time and tracking all that stuff.
No, Gil Brandt.
Excuse me, Gil.
4.67 sounds just fine to me, so you're good.
So, over the last 10 years, I've come to love watching the Combine
It's great.
40s. It's great, and they
Yeah.
put it on
Prime time now,
prime
Skip.
time, finally.
Can't get enough.
And I was
Hooked.
I was
You
just
hooked.
like, I was hooked, and I watched the whole thing, and I couldn't stop watching. There's NBA on, and I couldn't
great.
stop watching
Yeah.
the Combine. It's just a track meet, and it's fun, but it doesn't translate into what's going to happen on the football field.
No.
Because John Ross still holds the record after last night, thanks to Ruggs having a little shaky.
I haven't seen very many guys, Skip, that complain about running 4.27, but he seemed to be upset that he only ran only
I know.
4.27.
He made it look so easy.
Yeah, the second one, he was really trying too hard, and he was kind of
Very-
weaving
Yeah.
from side to side.
Right.
He lost some time that way. But
wild.
look, John Ross has had a few moments over his 3 years with the Bengals, but he's been beat up and hurt, and he's not transcendent. He's
No.
not changing the game.
No.
Okay, so let's go back to a guy I knew pretty well, Bullet Bob Hayes, who started all of this
Yes.
because he won the 100-meter dash at the Olympics,
Yep.
but he had played football at Florida
Florida
A&M
he did.
out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
Okay, so the Cowboys draft him in the 7th round because everybody said he's just a track guy.
Track.
And they start throwing him bombs. Don Meredith, the great Don Meredith, is just bombs away to Bullet Bob in 65 and 66 when he makes his first 2 Pro Bowls. I will remind everybody, he's going up against a lot of white cornerbacks at that point, right? Because
Yes.
about half of them were still white
Right,
cornerbacks.
right.
And it was a complete mismatch because, remember, Bullet Bob ran a 60-yard dash in 5.28. So if I'm doing a little algebra formula backwards, that means his 40 would have been under 4. It would have
Yes.
been 3.8 or 3.9.
Yes.
Okay, that'd be the all-time. So it's a joke
Yes.
how fast he was.
Yes.
And he was 6 feet, 187. So pretty not
That's
bad.
huge
Yeah, I know.
400-meter sprinter.
That
Look at
will
Christian
work.
Coleman. Christian Coleman probably weighs 155, 160.
Okay, so that broke the mold.
Yes.
But in general, I have found over the years that while speed thrills, it often kills the receiver, where it restricts them for all the reasons that you talked about, because now we've seen the freaks. Randy Moss, all-time freak.
right.
He's 6'4", 210, or he was 6'4", 210 when he was
Right.
drafted, but he ran 4.25. Well,
Right.
that's absurd.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was the greatest ever to me. And we saw 2 other freaks. We saw Julio and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
And they're huge men, especially Calvin Johnson at 6'2".
No, he's 6'4".
I'm sorry,
6'5",
6'5", 237. Running 4.35. I mean, it's sick what he was doing.
Yeah.
But both Julio and Calvin didn't have that killer intangibles that Julio doesn't, where they just dominate you. You know, that will to kill sort of thing on the field. Okay, so now we get to the GOAT. You bring up Jerry Rice. He ran 4.7. The Cowboys passed on him because he ran 4.7.
Crazy.
No?
Right.
He's the GOAT.
GOAT.
And to me, my GOAT is Michael Irvin. I've told you I would take him just on intangibles and killer will
Right.
over the GOAT, Jerry
Right.
Rice. Michael ran 4.52.
Right.
Okay, so what's going on
Right.
here? What's going on is, who's the best receiver in football right now? Michael Thomas, right? He was the offensive player of the
Yeah.
year, right? He just set the record for single season catches.
144, right? 149.
Okay, he almost ran 4.6. He was 4.57. Is that impressive?
Right.
That's why he fell down to mid-second round,
Right.
right? Should he have
Right.
gone in the top 10?
Yeah, had they know what they know now.
Wouldn't they?
Yes.
Okay, so how does he do it? He does it because he's 6'3", 212. He runs with power and control.
Yes.
And he has physical strength to snatch it the way you did at your position.
Right.
Where if it's going to get in your catch radius, it's going to be
Come
hard
down
to
with
stop Shea Sharpe from catching the football,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And once he snatches it, he can turn on you, and you're going to have a hard time getting him on the ground.
Right.
But he can stop, start.
Yeah.
He can set you up and come out of a break quickly.
The Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
the Odell Beckham
Yeah.
Jr. Skip,
Right.
to go back to your Bob Hayes. Bob
Yeah.
Hayes should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know why? Because before Bob Hayes, everybody played man-to-man. It was Bob Hayes that forced them to everybody to go to zone because he just ran by everybody.
You know, he did revolutionize the game. He did. Okay, but it took him, he retired in 75.
Right.
It took 34 years for him to get in the Hall as a senior candidate.
Right. It should.
Now, he had an off-the-field issue with a...
But, you know, you skip, they said off the field shouldn't have anything to do with, but
he had to go to prison for a little while.
Right.
Okay. But the point was that when Michael's saying there's not a 4-3 guy in the Hall, well Bob is...
Yeah,
he's not with us anymore, but he's in the Hall.
Yeah.
He's not at the Nitschke luncheon, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
I feel very comfortable saying he's the fastest Hall of Famer that we have in that building.
All right.
The bus that's in that building. I feel very comfortable in saying that.
I would agree. Does Tyreek Hill have a shot at being in the Hall of Fame? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's another freak to me.
Right.
He's a smaller man at, what is he, like 5'10", 185, something like that. Yeah, 5'10", 185. He ran 4.28 at a West Alabama pro day.
Right.
4.28, okay? He's just like scary fast to me.
Yes.
And he's pretty good. He can actually run routes, right?
But Skip, remember let's think about him when he first got into the league to where he is now.
Okay.
He wasn't this polished receiver. He's taught himself how to run routes, something other than deep routes. Now they have him running dig routes. They have him running over routes. They have him running things other than just post and goes. But he taught himself that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But think about what's around him. This always helps.
Yeah.
Around him is a tight end you almost have to double cover, right?
Yes.
And around him, you've added Sammy Watkins, who can run, and Mecole, who can fly. Mecole ran 4.28.
He ran at the combine. I don't know if he ran at the Georgia Pro Day.
Yeah.
He ran, I think, 4.33 or 4.34 last year.
Yeah.
Because he and that guy from Paris Hunter, I think that's his name, from Ohio State.
Yeah.
With two of the fastest receivers. Paris Campbell, that's what we
Okay. So, again, Tyreek has the advantage of weapons everywhere where you can't focus on him every play, which gives him an advantage the way I keep telling you. I believe Jerry Jeudy had a huge advantage. Todd McShay at ESPN is calling that class of Alabama receivers the greatest group of receivers in college football history.
They're special.
Because they're you just saw what Ruggs can do.
Yeah.
Jeudy ran 4.45 last night. And Devontae Smith went back, and Jalen Waddle is still there. Yeah. And they're going to be high picks,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Okay, so does that not take some focus off Jerry Jeudy? Does not give him more of a chance to get open?
Because he's going to play in space. You can't double everybody. And I think that 44-yard, remember in the Super Bowl, Skip, it was Tyreek Hill's speed. Because they thought he was going to take it across the field, and now he bends it back on the 7 route or the sail route, and now he's wide open. It was because of his speed that scares everybody.
And my homeboy got away with throwing him a punt.
No, homeboy.
He just sort of threw
my homeboy held it to the last second. He says, I can't hold it anymore. Here it goes.
Really?
Yep, that's what he said.
The dying quail?
No, Skip, don't do that.
He had to come back to catch it.
How many guys could have made that play?
I could have caught that ball.
Yeah, you could have.
I could have caught that ball. Seriously. Okay, so the point is that if you're surrounded by weapons, it might make you better than you actually are solo. So if you took Tyreek and put him with the Patriots last year, I don't know if he could have been quite as successful.
No,
you could calm him down with lots more double coverage, right?
Well, because he's going to get the double cover.
Yeah. Well, and remember what Belichick did to Tyreek? He took him out of those,
he said,
those games.
But Skip, look, for me, for the combine, Skip, the combine should offer confirmation to what you've seen on tape.
Okay.
Oh, Skip, when I look at Ruggs, when I see him run, he should be, because I think, I watch him on tape. Okay, man, this dude like he's fast. Okay, let me see what he runs.
Yeah.
Okay, he ran 4.27. He's a 10 foot 11 inch standing long jump. Skip, even if a guy doesn't run, if he's standing long jumps, say almost 11 feet, he has a vertical over 40 inches, that joker's explosive and he can fly. Because that's what speed is. Speed is explosiveness. If you're explosive, you can jump. That's why when you had the slam dunk competition, Mike Conley almost always won because what did he do? He was a track athlete. So when you look at these guys, that's all I want. I want the tape to show me confirmation. Now, Skip, if I look at him on tape and this joker look fast, He doesn't run fast. Now, I need to go talk to him. Son, were you nervous? Are you under? I need to know what's going on. I'm going to go back and watch tape, but the tape said you were faster than what you just ran.
Yep.
Now, that's not going to be the end-all, be-all because I'm putting 75, 80% of my stock in what I see this guy do on tape. The combine should be confirmation, Skip. If you're fast, you run fast. If you look explosive, you jump high. You jump far. That's what it should be. If you look strong, offensive, defensive lineman, ain't worried about no quarterback benching. I could care less. I could care less about a receiver benching. Because first of all, you don't want the guy up on you to have to bench him up off you. You want to be skinny. You don't want to give him this. Yeah. You want to give him that.
Yep.
As little target as possible. So that's all the combine should offer is confirmation to what you've seen on tape. Okay. Now, if you go to the combine and all of a sudden you see a guy playing like a slug on tape, and then you get there and you watch him run fast, Mike Mamula, or you get you get exactly what you deserve.
True.
Not the end-all be-all, but so fun to watch. Yep. So entertaining.
But
just can't get enough of it.
How many times you see a guy catch a touchdown in the NFL field with track spikes and tights on?
Yeah.
He got a helmet, he got shoulder pads.
No mercy.
Several reports have come out this week that Tom Brady is preparing to not return to the Patriots. Yesterday, Kurt Warner said Brady should be careful when considering leaving where he has spent his 20-year career. Warner said that leaving a familiar organization so late in a career can be very challenging. He also said Brady going to the rumored Chargers or Raiders would be hard since he'd have to face Patrick Mahomes twice a year. So, Shannon, what would you do? I want you to think about this. If you were Tom Brady right now.
Been there. Skip, I spent 10 years in Denver. 7 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, won 2 Super Bowls, and I had to go to Baltimore. Because at some point in time, Skip, you can only tolerate so much disrespect.
Okay.
Skip, I knew when it was over. We were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're the 21 personnel, which is 2 backs and 1 tight end. And all of a sudden, I see Byron Chamberlain comes in. Normally, when another tight end comes in, Skip, I go to the Tiger position. Mm-hmm. They call, Byron Chamberlain comes in. He comes in the huddle. He says, Shannon, go to Y. Y means that I'm the tight end. I normally go to the Tiger position, which is the weak tight end.
Yep.
They call solo right, 322, Y stick, you looky. The Y is the decoy.
Wow.
Shannon Sharpe is a decoy. It's almost like pitch, and I never forget it, because it was third down. We came out the field, and I looked Gary Kubiak dead in his eye. I said, they never pinch hit for Ken Griffey. They never pinch hit for Barry Bonds. I said, don't ever do that again. That's when I knew my time in Denver was up.
Okay.
We had more games to go, but I knew my time was up then, Skip. It was over.
Okay. I don't think Tom Brady got replaced.
No, but I'm saying the disrespect.
Yeah.
He says, hold on.
Okay.
All these years, for basically 15 years, I've given you discount after discount after discount after discount.
Yeah.
And still, you tried to replace me with Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. And still, when you had it up, Skip, what was stopping them this past season from extending him 2 years? All they gave him was $8 million. So basically, it was a 1-year deal.
It was.
So Tom is like, hold on.
And all he got in return is you can't tag me, right?
Thank you. He's like, hold on, wait a minute. How much disrespect am I going to tolerate? I keep telling you, the greater the player is, the athlete is, the bigger his ego and the pride that he got. Skip, Tom Brady might not show it, and you're like, oh, golly gee. But Skip, when they would ask Coach Belichick about Tom Brady playing a good game, he would say, yeah, Tom played great, but we had a lot of other guys play great. Wait a minute, ain't nobody asked you about them other guys. But Coach Belichick would go out of his way to mention those other guys.
He would.
It's a blessing and a curse because nobody is greater than anybody else. Because they say, Skip, Coach Belichick will correct or chastise Tom Brady in front of everybody. And I've said that, look, I played 14 years. I've never heard a head coach chastise even the lowest level of quarterback, let alone a John Elway or Tom Brady. Because you remember when Jim Mora, when Peyton Manning threw those 5 interceptions, and he had that press conference talking about playoffs?
Yep.
Playoffs? Do you know what happened to him after the season, Skip? They got him right up out of there.
They did.
Because Peyton Manning says, hey, I can tolerate a certain amount of things. Go back and listen to what Peyton said after the head coach said what he said.
Yep.
So, Skip, and Kurt is absolutely right. Skip, you kind of get comfortable. You know what to expect. You know the schedule. You know the travel route. Everybody in the locker room, you know. And then all of a sudden you go to because it was different. It was different being in Denver for 10 years and then going to Baltimore for 2. Things are different. People know what Tom Brady accomplished, 6 Super Bowls, the 9 Super Bowl appearances. Look at what the hell he do for us. They knew going to Baltimore, they knew what Shannon Sharpe had done in Denver. Can you do that for us? Can you give us a little bit of that? And that's what people don't want to see. Tom, how much does Tom still have left in the tank? Tom believes his tank is half full. He's still got plenty of gas. The other guys in the locker room that he's going into just want to see that. But Skip, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to leave. And I believe Tom Brady's like, man, enough of this disrespect. You basically disrespected me for the last decade. And so you know what? You think you can win a Super Bowl without me. I'm going to give you that opportunity.
Okay. So, obviously, as I've been saying for a year now, these two giants, the quarterback and the coach, have each earned the right to prove they can go win a Super Bowl without the other.
Correct.
So that's about to happen, as we've both agreed for a long, long time on this show. This is not news to us.
No. Nope.
But it was news to me that Kurt Warner made these points. Number one, he said, man, I wouldn't leave New England because it's too hard to go change a culture on the fly in time to win a Super Bowl if you just have 2 years left to do it.
Correct.
So let's do the hypothetical. Let's take the LA Chargers, which would be in the division with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, first of all, I do not believe Tom Brady is afraid of Patrick Mahomes.
Neither do I.
I definitely don't think he's afraid of the Kansas City defense. I don't think he is. If he decided the Chargers were the perfect landing spot for him. But could he, with now limited OTAs and even more limited training camp time, could he turn the Chargers into Patriots West in a fairly short time to get right on track to go win this next year's Super Bowl? It would be pretty hard to do that, right?
It is. Unless, Skip, the thing that the Broncos were able to do with Peyton, they turned everything over to him.
They did.
Peyton determined.
That's a good one.
Peyton did the talking.
Yeah.
Peyton set up this is what we're going to do in the walkthrough. This is what we're going to do practice-wise. Is Tom willing to take on that kind of responsibility, Skip?
So which year did Peyton go to the Super Bowl?
He went 2013.
It took
1 year.
What?
So he got there in 2012.
Yes,
they lost the Baltimore divisional.
He was great.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So it took 2 years to get to a Super Bowl that they got annihilated.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So back to Tom Brady. Kurt Warner also made the point the path would be easier in the NFC right now because there are too many good quarterbacks emerging in the AFC.
Right.
Okay. I'll give you that much, which brings me to the other side. But before we leave the AFC, the Titans are the readiest made for Tom culture-wise.
Yes.
Because even though it's Nashville, which is a booming town, maybe it's not Tom and Giselle's kind of town, but it is. You have a Vrabel in place who actually, he not only does he know Belichick's culture, he lived it.
Yes.
Right? So
he played a decade. Didn't he play a decade with Tom?
Yeah. So he's instilled and installed the culture already.
Right.
So it's ready-made for Tom to walk in the door. You wouldn't have a culture problem, right?
Right.
Okay. So you've got that going. Unless you want to look at the NFC with the easier path, and I'm going to say this one more time, as much as I wouldn't mind seeing him 2 years with my Cowboys, the ultimate goal for Tom Brady, the ultimate match of quarterback and team, the fairy tale story, the storybook ending, would be Tom goes home to the 49ers.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't they cut bait with the Jimmy G that clearly Kyle Shanahan has not bought completely into? He had lots of nice moments, but in the biggest moments in the playoffs, they took the ball out of his hands until the fourth quarter when it was too late at the Super Bowl, and then they tried to put it back in his hands, and you know the rest of the story.
Correct.
Okay, so Tom grew up in San Mateo, right there in the shadow of his candlestick.
Old candlestick.
You know, okay, but a 49er fan. So he would love to play for a team. Is it not on the verge of winning a Super Bowl? They would have won that Super Bowl if he'd been the quarterback, right? Okay, so they can get out from under Garoppolo very easily. They don't owe that much cap hit on just releasing him if they wanted to, or you could try to trade him, but he's still scheduled 3 more years to make $25 million a year.
Right.
Is that too rich for your blood? Is that overpaying Jimmy G?
No, that's
okay, maybe
that's not a whole lot of money for a quarterback that you believe that is a franchise quarterback or a top-tier quarterback.
Okay. But if you just cut him, which you could do, I assume Belichick would take him back. I don't know that for a fact, but maybe you just sort of swap quarterbacks. Or maybe if Bill liked that salary structure enough, you could just flip it back for the 2. Remember, it was just a second-round pick, right? Maybe you could say, okay, we'll give him back to you for 2 and even Steven, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what would make most sense for me is for Tom Brady to make the call to John Lynch or to Kyle Shanahan, whichever, and try to figure out if that would be a fit. Again, the NFC is the easier path, but there's no wide open job because Jimmy's there and Dak is obviously in Dallas.
Right.
They could break, they could come open, but the AFC has a lot of open jobs.
Right.
You know, Titans, it's Tannehill, but you could certainly replace. Colts would be a possibility. Raiders, they don't have an incumbent who's locked in as the starter.
Skip, of all the places, and I know Tennessee with Derrick Henry and the running game, but I think the best place for him, I still say it's Indy. I think their offensive line, they got solid running game. They got T.Y. Hilton. They got $50+ million in cap. They can go get him another weapon. Who knows? Go get Amari Cooper. They don't tag Amari Cooper.
Could.
He's going to be available. Pair him with T.Y. Hilton.
Okay.
Go get your defensive guy.
Yeah, my only problem with that in the biggest picture is it's Peyton's town, the house that Peyton built. You want to walk into his shadow to end your career? I don't know. And plus,
Peyton walked in John Elway's shadow and he's beloved. As a matter of fact, he still lives in Denver, Skip.
Yeah.
Tom have a pretty good, they always do things together.
Yes.
They do spoofs together. And they seem to have a good relationship.
I think they do. Because, Skip, Tiger gravitated towards Jordan because only Jordan knew what it was like to live that life. It's
true.
Brady and Peyton, they know what it's like to live that life, to be the face of the league, to be an MVP, to win Super Bowls, and to be the guy.
Yep.
And guess what? Peyton left Indy. We thought it was unthinkable, Skip. We was like, no way. You still believe that Jim Irsay made the wrong decision in getting rid of Peyton.
But what had fallen into his lap was
the number 1 pick. Because it would have been very interesting, Skip. They didn't get the number 1 pick. They got the 3rd pick. Or they had the third best record. It's not like basketball. You got the 3rd best record. What do you do then?
Okay.
The 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Now what do? Do you still release him even though your doctor says he's never going to be the same?
Does Tom Brady and or his wife see themselves as indie kind of people? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Tom said, I want to hold the trophy.
I want the trophy.
I want the trophy.
That's what he thinks about.
Skip, this is a race. It's a sprint. Tom Brady, this is not a marathon.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's not in year 10, Skip. This is an all-out sprint. How soon can I get to the victory lane and hold that trophy?
No doubt.
No mercy.
Utah State's Jordan Love has been gaining buzz around the combine. Love's playmaking skills have been what's caught the eye of NFL scouts. NFL Network's Bucky Brooks also believes that the recent success of African-American quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson have helped raise the stock of Jordan Love. So, Shannon, do you agree?
I do, but it's just not those guys, Skip. You look at, if we get back down to it, Skip, if we look at it this year, really the guys that were in MVP discussion, obviously Lamar won, but Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott for a number of years. So what we're starting to see, Skip, because we've had other guys win the MVP, black quarterback. Steve McNair, if I'm not mistaken, was the first. He won it with Peyton Manning and Cam Newton. But we've never seen this many black quarterbacks play this well at this particular time. And so now, Skip, what is the NFL? Copycat league. They got what he doing well. Let me get one.
Completely agree.
Because we saw a run on young coaches. Oh, he 32, he doing that? Well, let me go get me a 31-year-old. So the league is going to copy. If you have success doing something, you best believe, unless if they find out what you did, they're going to copy it. And that's what we're starting to see. And so this kid, I watched him last night. He has a big arm. He can flat out throw it, Skip. He can throw the football. And it's automatically. It's like if you play quarterback, you're black, you mobile. Even if you can't. Byron Leftwich.
I was going to say, Byron Leftwich.
Byron Leftwich wasn't mobile. It's kind of like you black, oh, you can sing and dance, huh? Hell no, everybody that's black can't sing and dance. But they automatically, that's just the assumption that it is, Skip. And so I just think the thing with the way the space on the field and the defensive guys are getting more athletic, you probably need quarterbacks that are a little bit more athletic.
Sure.
Not to say that you can't win doing it like Tom Brady and doing it like Peyton and Breeze, but more times than not, Skip, what we're starting to see now is that guys are starting to move. Even the white quarterbacks, we're starting to see Josh Allen. We saw Tannehill. We saw guys that can move now. The stationary guys that just basically throw from the pocket, those we're starting to see that.
I think Joe Burrow can move.
Oh, yeah. On that fourth down, ask Clemson, can he move?
That's a good point.
Ask Alabama, can he move? Because he absolutely can, Skip. But I think so. I think what they're starting to see is that, for the very reason they took, like if a black quarterback got early on, if he didn't have success, see, I told you couldn't do it. Now we're starting to see 5, 6, 7 guys have success. Hey, Jordan Love is reaping some of that benefit.
He certainly is and should. So, as you know, I've been long fascinated by the rise and the success of the black quarterback because I was right in the middle of the first one who went in the first round, Doug Williams. I spent a week with him when I used to work for the LA Times back in the 70s, week with him at Grambling ahead of that draft. And I've always told you the story called one prominent GM at the time who told me that the black quarterback doesn't have the mental capacity to play in our league. And Doug Williams went 17th overall, which was a breakthrough.
Unheard
just
of.
to go to Tampa.
Right.
It was unheard of. And he eventually, as we all know, was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. God bless him. And here we went. And the door started to crack open, and then it started to swing open.
Right.
And just for the record, for those who have lost touch, we have had 5 black quarterbacks go number 1 overall, starting with our man Michael Vick in 2001.
Right.
And we got Jamarcus Russell obviously didn't work out, but he went. He couldn't run either.
He couldn't.
But Cam and Jameis and Kyler. Okay, so we got 5.
Right.
Pretty good.
Right.
But then if we go back to the 90s, we started seeing these breakthroughs because Steve McNair went 3rd overall in 1995 out of Alcorn.
And think about it, because Skip, as you mentioned, Doug was from Grambling. He wasn't from no Big Ten or, SEC school.
No. And we had Akili Smith go 3rd overall, and we had Andre Ware go 7th overall.
Donovan went 2nd.
Donovan went 2nd overall. Was he 3rd? No, 2nd. He was 2nd. You're right. Good. And I can just go on. And then lately we just had this big run with Deshaun and my homeboy and all. So it's not unusual to see them go high, Vince Young, RG3. But what threw me a curve, what knocked us back in time, what set us back was here comes Lamar, and I guess we have to pin it mostly on Bill Polian, and I'm not trying to put him on the hot seat again, but it was his gut feeling that Lamar should play receiver.
Right.
And we're like, what? Do you see what the numbers he put up?
Right.
Okay, and there were probably a few others, I think, who chimed in that, he's probably more suited to play another position. And it threw me a little curveball even this year that a guy I love, Jalen Hurts, who I thought looked really good last night and ran even better than I thought he would, because he's not fast twitch runner.
Right.
He's more he's like Le'Veon. He runs like Le'Veon with power and patience.
Right.
But the point is, I was reading some things earlier this week where Jalen was having to defend himself. No, I don't want to play another position. I want to play quarterback.
I want to work out at another position.
Okay.
But Skip, they automatically assume if you're black and like he athletic, he can easily switch. Hey, there's Johnny Manziel to switch.
No. I mean, you can argue they've asked Taysom Hill to switch, I guess. Okay. I don't know, maybe.
But Skip,
and Tebow got a little bit of, would you play some
tight
sort
end
of, or some
hybrid?
Hybrid,
But Skip, Lamar Jackson threw for over 3,500 yards, rushed for 1,500, won the Heisman, had a better year his junior year than his sophomore year. So somebody did that, Skip. Yeah. Somebody put up those Heisman Trophy winning numbers. He did that. At least give him an opportunity. It's like Harris Wayne. I played with Harris Wayne. Skip, he got drafted as a defensive lineman at Tampa. Well, he didn't cut it on that side of the ball. They moved him to the offensive line, and he played 13, 14 years in the league. Okay. At least give me an opportunity. And if I fail, give me a decision. Well, Shannon, it's not really working out for you on this side of the ball. Like Lane Johnson. Lane was a defensive lineman, and he said, hey.
He did. Okay.
What kind of wasn't working out. They asked me to move over. I tried it and been there ever since.
All right. Which brings us back to Jordan Love. I'll be the first to admit, I watched 0 Jordan Love games last year. Why? Because he had a new coach with a completely new supporting cast. He lost a bunch of starters, and they were pretty awful.
Right.
And he had an awful year by his standards of the previous year. He was 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions with no rush touchdowns. The year before, he had 32-6 touchdowns, interceptions, with 7 rush TDs.
Right.
And they went 11-2. A kind of a quiet 11-2. But all of a sudden last night on NFL Network, there's a runaway train that Jordan Love could be Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
That he has that kind of special ability.
Right.
He's been talking this week about, I accept the comparison, and teams are asking me, do I see some Mahomes in myself?
Right.
Because he's got those capabilities, right? As an athlete with the big arm, and he can move around.
Right.
Right?
And the thing is, Skip, we didn't think, Skip, it wasn't until like the last 3 or 4 games that we thought Patrick was home. We knew he can move, but we always thought, Skip, he's moving out of the pocket to throw the ball down the field. What we saw in the divisional, in the championship game, no, he's moving to get first down because he led the team in rushing. And even early on, Skip, they started out the Super Bowl with him running the football.
They did.
So it just goes. So we didn't see that. I think this kid is 6'4". Mahomes is not that tall.
Nope.
6'2.5", maybe 6'3".
Maybe.
He might. I mean, Mahomes might be, because Mahomes, he looks solid, Skip. He might be in the 235-ish.
I was going to say 240.
Yeah, he looks
thick-legged.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yep.
Go back and look at the tape. And I get it, Skip. His sophomore year, he was I think his junior year.
No,
it was sophomore year because he came out.
He's coming out. Yeah, early.
You look at that, okay, he played unbelievable in a system that he was familiar with.
Yep.
They bring in a new system.
Yep.
But I'm going to look at the tape. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to talk to him, get him on the board. Because, Skip, he got some arm talent now.
Well, Bucky Brooks, who does a really good job and I have a high respect for, he's moved him up to 12th in the first round. Wow. Like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay don't have him in the first round yet, but it sounds like he will be.
Yeah, Skip, I'm watching him throw the out routes, and watching the timing and how the ball just jumps out of his hand. He got talent. He got talent. But but Jalen Hurts, Skip, is kind of like Lamar. I'm not saying I believe Jalen Hurts can play, but you're going to have to structure a system that's like what they did for Lamar now. If you think he's just going to come in and run any conventional offense, that's not happening.
No. His arm is better than you think.
Yes,
Jalen,
yes.
Yeah. And he is a playmaker. He is the leader of your franchise. He has extremely high football character, and he's such a cagey veteran, sort of patient runner. He will make yards.
The best thing that ever happened to him, Skip, is that Tua took over and he got to go to Oklahoma. Because he wasn't going to be thought of like he's thought of now playing in the Alabama system.
No, that's a good point. Yep.
He really took over that offense, and it was impressive what he did there in the amount of time, and just his respect among teammates. And I mean, I'm rooting for him.
And now I'm not going to be surprised if he goes maybe into first round or early second somewhere.
Because you think about what he has now. Jalen Hurts had Jerry Jeudy.
He did.
He had all these receivers that you see, and he didn't.
Yep.
So it would take him going to Oklahoma. And it's like, well, he could throw a little bit. He could throw.
Yep. And it helped to have C.D. Lamb.
Oh, C.D. I think he had 4 or 5.
Oh, Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, my God.
No mercy.
Dez Bryant has made it very clear that he wants to make a comeback and still believes that he would, quote, do damage in the Cowboys offense. Last week, Dez worked out with Patrick Mahomes. And when asked about Dez potentially returning to Dallas, Jerry Jones had an interesting answer. Take a listen.
I've been thinking about it a lot in the shower.
Yeah.
I have been. I'm not dismissing it. I mean, I don't want to sound like it should be dismissed by saying that.
Right.
I'm thinking about it.
He's been thinking about it. Hey, we're thinking about it. Shannon, can you see Jerry bringing Dez back?
Yep. Just much to Skip Bayless agreeing. Because I remember when this happened, when they released Dez, goodbye.
Yep.
Good riddance. Now my quarterback. Skip, the very thing that you said with Emmett and Michael and Nate talking to Daddy,
he picked up the phone and called him.
I believe he did pick up the phone.
I can see him talking himself into doing this. I also believe that Stephen and Will McClay and at the time Jason Garrett, I believe it was 3 against 1 that says we should move on from Dez.
Yes, that's true.
Jerry did not want to do it. Skip, this is what Will McClay, the guru who's drafted some of the most unbelievable players in Cowboys history, this is what he said about Dez 2 years ago when he was released. His inability to win one-on-one, his inability to win downfield, and inconsistency. Skip, this is prior to Achilles' injury. This is 2 years ago.
True.
So he's saying all of this 2 years ago. So now, after an Achilles injury, he believes Dez now can win one. Jerry believes he can win one-on-one. He can win consistently. He can win downfield. Really? Wow. Skip, if you remember, one of the worst quarterback-receiver connection was Dak to Dez. Dak threw almost 55 to 70% of his interceptions when he was throwing the ball in Dez Bryant's direction. Mm-hmm. And you're going to bring this back for what?
I forgot about how bad it was.
I don't get it, Skip. It makes no sense to me. But you know what? I've come to realize, Skip, it doesn't have to make sense to me. It has to make sense to one person. And he was sitting in that chair and says he thought about it when he was in the shower. Well, Jerry, you need to start taking baths then, because you need for some reason you spending too much time in the shower. If you thinking about this, that's too much time.
Skip?
I love Jerry Jones. I love to listen to Jerry Jones because he's completely unfiltered now. He's past the age of filtering. You know, now he's to the point where he doesn't really care what he says about anything.
Nope.
And they said he sat in that chair talking to a media group yesterday for an hour and 20 minutes straight. Oh. So you're just getting little snippets of what just spilled all over everywhere.
That's his chair, so he's comfortable. Yeah. He comfortable in that chair.
An hour and 20?
He was real comfortable.
That's a long time.
And to say, I've thought about it a lot in the shower, is just it's so authentically Jerry. That's where he would. He'd just stand under the shower thinking. And I must admit, I've won a lot of debates in the shower getting ready for the show because it dawns on me, if he goes there, I'll wipe him out. I'll wipe him out. I'll just go there.
Yep.
And it just dawns on me, well, the water's streaming down my face, right? And so Jerry, I believe, saw that video, and I was more impressed than you were.
Yes.
It sort of raised my eyebrows a little bit. He looked powerful to me. He looked like he was pushing off the Achilles side pretty purely. Like it didn't. I didn't see any sort of misstep to it, or like where he was a little tentative on one side,
right?
Which happens sometimes.
Yes.
So was he ever fast? No, he wasn't ever blazing fast. Was he just a jump ball catcher? Yes, he was. Did he wreck Dak Prescott's sophomore year in the NFL? Yes, he did. Because every bad throw Dak made was a forced throw to Dez Bryant. Mm-hmm. And some of them went the other way, as you remember at Denver, right?
Yep.
Okay. Given all of the above, I could see where Jerry, and I'm trying to like warm back up to this, I could see where if Dez Bryant has humbled himself, which is a huge if, to the point that he would accept sort of the Jason Witten type role as the other tight end, quote unquote, the other possession receiver. Let Blake Jarwin be the speed tight end, and Dez would be the underneath. You know, he'd run the curls and he'd run the quick possession routes.
You got a guy that's faster and younger and cheaper and Michael Gallup than Dez.
Okay, but I'm not even looking at him as a wideout anymore.
Well, you gonna play tight end?
Yeah.
Man, Dez can't play no tight end.
Just as a possession. Yes.
No.
I mean, he can't block anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Skip, you have to understand, Skip, it takes a different mindset. I understand. It's like Calvin Johnson, 6'5", 237. But Calvin Johnson was not wired to play tight end. Julio is big. Skip, Julio is bigger than Julio Jones right now plays wide receiver at a heavier weight than I ever played tight end. Mm-hmm. But his mind is not wired to do that.
No, I got it.
Dez is not wired to do that.
Playing tight end. I'm just talking about filling a role on an offense. I guess you'd line him up in the slot, whatever you want to do, but he's underneath because he's not running by anybody, and I don't want to see any jump balls down the field to him.
What did people say, Skip? Dez didn't play in the slot. Dez mainly lined up outside. You can only play because you couldn't move him around.
Humbled? Is he humbled? Is he humbled to the point he would take the veteran minimum to come play for the Dallas Cowboys?
They released Dez without asking him to restructure his contract.
No.
They didn't go to Dez and say, Dez, you're supposed to make $15 million.
Yes.
But can you play? Can you do it for $5 million?
No.
They were done.
Done.
I was done.
You were done.
But I'm talking about One last hurrah. He's 31 years of age. He's not 39. He's 31. Benjamin Watson was a starting tight end for Tom Brady this year at 39 years of age.
Yeah, but that's what they asked. But Skip, it's not like Benjamin Watson was ever thought of as what Ben Watson is, and I love Ben.
No, do I?
He was never thought of as the best tight end in football. No. There was a debate: who's the best wide receiver in football?
Yep, there was.
Julio or Dez? Now, Julio is the fastest receiver to 12,000, fastest receiver to 800 catches.
Yep.
That's where Julio is, and still, it's not like we think, man, Julio is slowing down. Julio led the league, if I'm not mistaken, led the league second. He was second in receiving yards behind Michael Thomas. Skip, Skip, this really makes no sense to me, okay. Skip. It doesn't.
All I know is what you think does not matter and what I think does not matter and what Jenny thinks does not matter. All that matters is he was standing in the shower. He's been standing in the shower thinking about it.
Yes.
And he wanted you to know it and I to know it and Jenny to know it. He wanted the world to know I'm thinking about it because he's a shrewd operator and he is replanting the seeds because I think he's going to bring him back.
I'm glad that Jerry said this because now Steven's going to change Jerry's number and Dez is not going to be able to contact him anymore.
Time to get a new number.
Steven didn't know Jerry was talking to Dez. He's like, oh, you've been doing this behind my back. I'm about to change your number, Jerry, because he don't call him Dez, he calls him Jerry.
He probably does. Dez probably calls him Jerry.
Yeah.
Well, everybody calls him Jerry. I would say, but his actual kids call him Jerry.
They do call him Jerry, and it's always been weird to me, but that's how they did it from the start. They did it when they were little kids. They called
If I'm not mistaken, his grandkids called him Jerry, too. I could have swore I heard him call him Jerry.
Yep.
That is interesting. I'm actually going to be in Dallas for XFL this weekend. So let me get a pulse on the town, on the mood, on Dez, on Jerry, on Dak. I'll let you guys know.
Skip's very upset.
When I come back on Monday.
I'm resigned. I think he will at least be brought to camp, and it will be under the auspices of let's see if he can make let's see if he can prove himself.
Well, he started this early. He said if I have a Jason Witten type role, I could tear it up.
Mm-hmm. What if they can't re-sign Amari, though? I mean, there's maybe a need there. It's all fascinating. Okay. No mercy. A roundtable of NBA experts discussed what it would take for LeBron to catch Giannis in the MVP race. And the answers ranged from needing to petition the league to include the playoffs for the award to LeBron is actually right on the heels of the Greek Freak due to his impressive plus-minus differential. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us this morning. But Shannon, because we're talking about LeBron and you got a look on your face, I'll start with you. Can LeBron catch Giannis and win the MVP?
What you mean catch? I'm not sure you're not in the front of Giannis right now. If you factor in, because everybody love you know what I love?
I got to hear this.
I love when people say they love analytics and they love third-level stats until you get to the third-level stats and they don't support their argument. You know what I'm saying? Everybody says, I want the truth. But people don't really want the truth, Chris, because it would destroy their illusions. See, this illusion that, Giannis is just running away with this thing. But when you get the real plus-minus and it factors in your teammates and the teams you're playing, it's not even close. LeBron James is 10.2, Giannis is 7.8. So the gap from when LeBron is on the court to when he leaves, to when Giannis is on the court, to when he leaves, clearly, I wasn't going to even say this, but I told Chris off camera, I was secretly rooting for Ghost. I would have
made his argument a lot stronger, right?
Hey, Chris, I was secretly rooting for Golden State because of LeBron, because I'm like, see there? That's what I'm talking about.
Real quick on that, would you believe Golden State by 5 games has the worst record in all of basketball? By 5 games, that's how bad they are.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
Just how quickly you fall.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
This is the dynasty, and now they're way worse.
Yeah. Skip, when you look at this, if you look at the story all season, has been who? Has been what? Nobody saw this coming.
No.
Chris Broussard, what'd you have with Chris at 47 wins?
The Lakers?
Yeah. How would you?
No, I had them around 53. Same as you.
No. I had 56.
I was around.
I had 56. And now we about to be.
You were hesitant. You wasn't as confident on that 56 as you are now.
I bet Skip 5 cases. He tried to get me to get to go to 60. I asked him a couple of weeks ago, you want to do 60? He said, nah, he backed off that.
This is all revisionist history. All made up.
That.
Look, when you look at what LeBron, there's no way, you know this, is that when LeBron doesn't, this team without, I believe the Bucks are a playoff team without Giannis. Now, they might not be 60 games, like they're going to win, they're going to get close to 70 with him. You know good well, Even with AD on this Lakers team, they're not going to the playoffs. Not even close. They're not even the 8th seed. So I don't even know what the discussion is. Year 17.
So you think it's over?
Skip, I
Year 17 really has nothing to do with it, though.
But 25 and a half, 10 and a half, 10.7, and 8 in the West. Because you tell us, now Chris Broussard has been telling me since we coming on, he in the East. Now we in the West. We the best in the West. And Chris Broussard don't want to give me no love.
Let me add, I'm going to destroy your argument. You know I love LeBron, but it's just obvious. Milwaukee, you said a playoff team.
Yeah.
In the West without Giannis? Are they a playoff team in the West without Giannis?
No.
Okay. Take Anthony Davis and the rest of them without LeBron and put them in the East. They're a playoff team. You know that. In fact, they're fighting for home court advantage. In the East, they definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're the
AD by himself.
They're probably like, because remember he was in Cleveland his last year. He was the 4th seed? Because they were 4-5 against Indy.
Well, look, shout out to LeBron James. He truly is having a phenomenal year. I was talking with Steve, the researcher, before I came on, and we couldn't totally verify it, but I am 99.9% sure of this. LeBron's going to lead the league in assists. That no player ever in their 17th year has led the league in any significant category.
Okay.
Right. So that's John Stockton, all-time leader in assists, who played like 19, 20 years.
He played, yeah.
His last year leading the league in assists was his 12th year. So this is truly phenomenal. And then you give him technically, because we know he's played a lot of point guard his whole career, but technically he switches to a new position. So in many years, he would be the MVP. But this case is just cut and dry. Number one, Giannis has the better traditional stats. 29.7 points a game to LeBron's 25 in 4 fewer minutes a night, mind you. 13.7 rebounds to LeBron's 7.7. LeBron's got him in assists, but Giannis still gets you 6 assists. LeBron is higher field goal percentage, the whole 9 yards.
3-point percentage.
Analytics. Giannis has the highest PER, player efficiency rating, of all time.
Yep.
32.02 of all time. Wilt has the next 2 for a single season, 2nd and 3rd. Jordan has the 4th, and LeBron has the 5th in a different year. LeBron right now is 9th in the league in PER, 2nd on his own team. So there's more analytics than real plus minus. So you got that. Then you got the fact that Giannis is arguably, in addition to all the offense, arguably the best defensive player in the league. The best defensive player on the best team, could win Defensive Player of the Year. Then you got the team success. They're on pace to win 71 games. The only 2 teams to win more than that, we know, the Warriors in 2016, the Bulls in 1996. The Bulls had 3 Hall of Famers. Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen. The Warriors had at least 2 in Clay and Steph and probably Draymond, right? He'll probably end up this year don't help him, but he'll probably get in there.
Defensive Player of the Year, 3 titles, and I think he won a gold medal. Wasn't he on that 2016 team?
Okay, so he's probably a Hall of Fame. So 3 Hall of Famers. Then they're winning by 12.2 points a game. There are only 2 teams have won by more points per game. The 72 Lakers, who won 33 straight and had Wilt, Jerry West, and Gail Goodrich, 3 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Then the 71 Milwaukee Bucks, who had Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And this dude is doing it with Chris Middleton. No shade on Chris Middleton.
You shaded
but
him.
Giannis does not have a second superstar. LeBron's got AD. And Giannis, all the teams in his lane.
He just made back-to-back All-Star teams. He's leading this league at 44% from the three-point line. He is a second star, but nobody gives him. He's a starless star.
Okay.
Nobody even recognizes.
But is he a second superstar?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So I get he's a
I'm going to go star. I'm going to go
he's a nice star. But there's no and this is the same argument that helped LeBron win his 2 MVPs in Cleveland when they won 61 games and 66 games. Because who was his second star? Mo Williams? So it was like he's doing it kind of by himself. Mo made all-star teams with LeBron. Derrick Rose when he won it in Chicago, it was like, who's his second guy? He has no second guy. Allen Iverson, when he won it with Philadelphia, who's his second guy? So this is the formula we've used. I've been voting for 25 years. I'm sorry. I think even you agree with me now.
No.
It's just over. I mean, what?
Okay.
I just...
Skip.
My turn. I'm going to break the tie.
Go ahead, break the tie.
Please.
I give you this. In PER, which is the ultimate test to me, I've got Giannis running away with the all-time best, and I got LeBron 11th. I don't know what your stats were, but 1 to 11. That's
11th this year.
Yes, right now, right here, right now. That's a significant gap. And I've got Giannis #1 in the NBA in defensive win shares. So when you're setting the all-time record with your offensive production and you're #1 in defense, that's hard to fight. Okay, now, my bottom line is I believe LeBron James will win the MVP.
Really?
What is it always about? Heisman's, MVPs. Storylines.
Yes!
Narratives.
What was his storyline last year, though?
Narratives. Here we go. What happened with Giannis last year? Everybody voted for him as the runaway MVP, and he wins his first one. And did he pay back all of his supporters who voted for him in the playoffs? He did not. He came up mini-me small. They won the first 2 games against Toronto, and they lost 4 straight. And I don't even want to bore you with the stats, but his stats went in the toilet in the last 4 games. They built the wall, and he could not break through the wall.
Couldn't get over
and
it.
he showed a huge, severe Achilles heel of a weakness. He can't shoot it beyond 8 or 10 feet. This year, he's trying to better that. Okay, so it was such a letdown off his first MVP season. I think in hearts of voters, maybe not your heart, it's going to be hard to vote him a back-to-back MVP, which is a huge thing in NBA history. It's a big deal to go back-to-back. Steph did it. Steve Nash did it. Okay. All right. So be careful with this because the LeBron story in year 17 is a great one. I give in to that because Karl Malone won at age 35, an MVP, and he was slightly older than LeBron is, but he was in his 14th season.
Right.
So this is 17th season, and I give you this, he has been phenomenal given what I thought he would or wouldn't be. He has had a huge bounce back, and he actually, his early season campaign of #WashedKing served him beautifully because it set everybody up for, I'm not the Wash King. I'm just the king.
Yeah, he is.
I'm back, right?
Yeah.
So
now,
he did that purposely.
Well, it's set up. The backlash from that became a good lash.
Well, you know what it started with Wash. You remember, Jenny, you remember this.
What?
He kept showing them low lights. Let's see it again.
Okay, that was last year.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
Well, you look pretty washed last year.
And you
like
said,
those.
when who was the guy for the Knicks that blocked the shot the last second?
Hezonja.
Yeah.
Mario Hezonja.
We saw that 100 times.
Yeah. It's like it's over.
Okay, so just for the record, this is a man who's still, LeBron, a lousy free throw shooter and no better than average from three-point. In fact, he's below average in the rankings of three-point.
He's better than Giannis from three.
Okay, but again, he's supposed to be, he's a high-volume three-point shooter. So given that, it kills me that we're having this discussion, but I'm giving into it because I know so many in the media love this man. They love what he does off the floor. They love him as the face, not only of the Lakers, but of the NBA. They love the speech that he gave to, a few nights after Kobe passed. And all that together is fairy tale, storybook, narrative.
So
That's
you
what's gonna
think
happen.
you
I believe
think Giannis should win it, but LeBron
the
will
stats,
win it?
it should
Is that
be
what you're saying?
over, and the hay is in his barn. He's already done it. But remember, Milwaukee has the 8th hardest closing schedule. The Lakers only have the 19th hardest. So I think LeBron can make a lot of hay down the stretch.
You know the voters. I know the voters. I don't think the voters will be swayed just by the story.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's part of it. When things are close, I just don't think it's that close. And again, LeBron's clearly second. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, team success, individual success, both sides of the floor.
Yeah.
What,
My guy knows that.
You're the best offense and the best defense. It's hard to
Well, we write up that first theoretically. I mean, I get the analytic, but he's not the best offensive player.
going to use we again?
Ain't no we.
I'll give you that.
He ain't the best
I'll
offensive
give
player.
you
Stop
that.
All right. Chris, thank you for being here. We actually
I
do
think
have
it's
to-
over, right? You agree now?
No.
You came to my side?
That's okay.
over yet.
Thank you, Jenny. It's not over.
Not yet.
No mercy.
So Giannis made waves before the All-Star game when he didn't pick James Harden for his team because he wanted someone who would pass him the ball. We all remember when he said that. So Harden, meanwhile, beat Giannis in the game while playing for Team LeBron, but now the beard is firing back. When asked about the snub, Harden said this: I average more assists than Kemba Walker. I think. I don't see what the joke is. I wish I could just run and be 7 feet and just dunk. Like, that takes no skill at all. I gotta actually learn how to play basketball, how to have skill. I take that any day. So, Shannon, inbounds or out of bounds for James to return the
That's inbound. And yeah, that's a headshot. That's what Harden should have said. Skip, not only did he try to make light of James Harden, talking about, I want somebody to pass me the ball, remember, they asked him after the game, what was your strategy? Go at anybody that James Harden is guarding.
Go to them.
Yeah. So Skip, hold on, wait a minute. James Harden said, hold on, wait. Now, I'm an MVP also. I'm an all-NBA player. I finished second 3 times in this MVP, and you're talking about like I'm a 12th guy.
Yep.
Where's the level of respect? And I get it. Normally, superstar players, they might feel a certain way, Skip, but they don't voice that. And like James said, what's the joke? You trying to say Kemba Walker's on my level? Mm-hmm. Really? Whatever you think about James Harden, ball hog, all that, it's hard to argue he's not one of the top players in NBA history. He probably top 2 or 3, 3 or 4. I always exclude Wilt. Mm-hmm. Take Wilt out of the equation. But you talk about just pure offense, there are not a whole lot of guys better than him. Mm-hmm. People will say Jordan, Kobe, but he's in the mix. Mm-hmm. So to try to say Kemba Walker, for Giannis to say, oh, Kemba Walker, no, I don't blame James Harden. I'm not going to just keep letting you blatantly disrespect me. You made a light of it. Okay, you the captain. Pick who you want. But then you're going to take it a step further, just like, we're trying to win the game, and if we saw something that we like, we were going to go to that. But to say we were going to anybody that James Harden was guarding, Skip, that man got pride. That man ain't going to let you keep shooting at him without shooting back.
Nope. I am 1,000% with you and 1,000% against Giannis because it wasn't one shot, it was 2. And I thought the second shot was even worse than the first
Absolutely.
shot. Because at least during the draft, we have seen Giannis struggle and just go goofy, like he loses track of where he is.
Right.
He's lost. He's got his notes, but he seems to lose his place in his notes, right?
You know what, Skip? Now that I think about it, he had an article saying he doesn't like to play with superstars during the summer and then have to play with them. Yeah. It seems to me that's what he picks. He picks the lesser of the guys. Because you think about it.
That's kind of interesting.
He's not picking the superstar players. He's getting the lesser of the guys.
Well, that's all he did. Every pick he made, I wouldn't have made all the way home. And yet they did hang in the game.
Right.
And he played well in the game, so I'll give him that.
Right.
But after the game, you don't need to double down and take another shot at James Harden saying, we were going to whoever he's guarding. Really? Yeah. Because, listen, James is not the greatest defender, but when he decides to play defense, he can and will play defense, and he will disrupt your offense.
Right.
And I'm going to point out, James Harden led this league in assists.
Yes.
Just remember that. He led the whole league in assists.
Yes.
So don't disrespect him like that. And don't pick Kemba over him and even put Kemba in the same sentence with James Harden.
Skip, you heard what he's saying. He's like I average more assists than Kemba Walker. What's the joke?
What's the joke? This is a joke because for whatever you think about 700 dribbles a game or whatever it is, James Harden is the most revolutionary perimeter player in the history of the NBA.
Yes.
I love Pete Maravich, and a lot of people don't remember him, and you can make a case he was. Maybe that was more in college than pro basketball.
Correct.
But James has reinvented the way the game is played on the perimeter because he invented a shot nobody had even thought of. A shot that if I'd tried to pull it off at age 10 in church league, they would have immediately called me for traveling.
Exactly.
Because it's a travel, but they finally blessed it in. They said, okay, we'll let you stop your dribble and take a whole step back and shoot it.
Right.
Right? and it's virtually unstoppable when he does it, and now everybody's doing it.
He did for the three-point shot what Steph Curry did, because now everybody started shooting the threes because of Steph, and now everybody shoots a step-back three.
Step-back three. And you don't even have to jump shoot the step back. You can just set shoot it from the floor because you create space so quickly they can't close, right?
So now you see Dame, you see Luka, you see Jason Tatum. Everybody's shooting that shot. He did it first.
He created it, invented it. So give him some respect. And now the reigning MVP has taken back-to-back shots. I'm surprised he didn't go in a little harder.
Yeah, it is like, hold on, Skip. If you want to say Kemba was an MVP at one point in time, okay. I got no problem with that. Well, Kemba was an MVP too. It's not like he was making a decision between Russ and James Harden because both of those guys, okay. Now, James can't be overly upset because Russ did lead the league, not the league, but did average a triple-double 3 consecutive years. Russ did win the MVP. Russ, if I'm not mistaken, has led the league in assists. So if you're trying to choose between
Russ led the league.
Between James Harden and Russ, Skip, I'll give you that. But you trying to say Kemba Walker and James Harden? Man, stop playing.
Way to go, James. That showed me a side. I haven't seen that side of him come out.
Hey, guess what, Skip? He came out of his little box.
Yeah,
you know, he had that little box.
That was in the
James came out that box. James came out the box for just a second. Hit it with a headshot, went right back in his box.
When needed.
The box he talks about is during the game, he stays in his own comfort zone above it all, so nothing flusters or irritates or agitates him. But this was a premeditated come out of the box off the court where you're sitting down. It was with Rachel Nichols, I think. So you know going in, if this comes up, I'm going to fire back.
I'm surprised more people didn't ask him about it earlier, Skip.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
But I think, during the All-Star, you're like, hey, I'm just happy to be an All-Star, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But when, he had time to sit down and think about it, and it's been a reoccurring thing because Charles Barkley, you didn't want the dribbler? And then Giannis, unprompted, I want someone that's going to pass the ball. You lead the league in assists.
And it was such a gratuitous out of left field shot because they're not rivals. They don't play in the same conference. They don't fight it out during the year.
No.
There's no one-on-one sort of animosity rivalry.
Well, maybe because Giannis won the MVP last year, James Harden was second. Yeah, Harden has finished, runner-up 3 times. Yeah. But people will not let you take continuous shots and not respond at some point in time, no matter how mild-mannered they may be, Skip. Even.
Yeah. No, I got it. If Chris Middleton was taking the shot, you'd say, oh, it's just Chris Middleton. Right. But it's the reigning MVP, and he finally said, okay, that's enough.
Correct.
Good.
When they play again. When they play again, because I want to see Jay Harden go off on him. James, get 70 on him.
Stepping out of the box?
Yep.
All right.
No mercy.
Ohio State defensive end Chase Young turned some heads at the Combine yesterday when he said he's the, quote, best player in the draft, a claim that Joe Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa may take issue with. Many expect the Washington Redskins to take Chase Young, number 2 overall, in part because they already took a QB in the first round last year in Dwayne Haskins. So, Shannon, is he the best player in the draft?
No, he also turned heads by not working out. Because a lot of people are like, hold on, wait a minute. If you what you say you are, what you're afraid of.
Yep.
Put that on display. Let's see.
I hear you.
I understand quarterback skill because quarterbacks, you're throwing the receivers you're unfamiliar with. All you doing is running, doing bags. You're not familiar with bags? Come on. No, I'm not. For me, it's hard for me to take a defensive lineman or a defensive player over a guy, a quarterback. For the simple fact, Skip, I want a guy that's going to score points.
Yep.
I'm not taking him over Tua. I'm not taking him over Joe Burrow because those guys put points on the board. Now, if you're telling me this guy's going to be LT, I'm going to apologize. If you tell me he's going to be Deion Sanders or Reggie White, Skip, I'm sorry. But I don't see that. So, no, I'm not taking him over Tua. I'm not so sure he's better than Isaiah Simmons. But we're gonna find out just how good Mr. Young is.
In his biggest games, I did not see LT.
Right.
I did not see dominating. I didn't see enough strength and power. I saw quickness. I saw raw, real, quick twitch quickness.
Yes.
Where he was out-quicking people who were inferior trying to block him.
Correct.
And remember, that Ohio State front is loaded with future NFL big talent.
Yep.
So be careful because I don't think he's the game changer. Right. Is he even clowny? I'm not sure he's clowny.
Is he better than the Bosa brothers?
Boy, I don't think so. I don't think so because both of them are just.
Does he have to be better, or can he just
they
be
can
equally
dominate?
talented?
For you to be the best, I mean, because I don't think anybody is. If they redraft, is anybody going to take? Anybody's going to take the Bosa over a Kyler?
Nope.
Because one guy produced points.
Yep.
You're not taking Skip. That's why more times than not, the quarterback goes first.
Correct.
Because if it's close, you're taking the guy that produced the points.
Yep.
No mercy.
Welcome back to Undisputed. We are now joined by actor and huge Boston sports fan, Mark Wahlberg. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You have a new movie coming out, Spencer Confidential, premiering on Netflix March 6th next week. So that's exciting. But we got to ask you about Boston and sports fans. I love Boston, but this movie, set in Boston, how does it kind of stand out compared to so many other Boston films?
Well, for me, it's really brought everything full circle. The home that Alan Arkin's character lives in is 24 Peveril Street. I grew up on 25 Peveril Street.
Oh, really?
We were sitting on my stoop every day while we were shooting the movie.
Is this Dorchester?
Yeah, right in Dorchester. And the character, Spencer, he was, there was a television show. This is based on the book series. But every time we saw that series in every episode, we would see a part of our neighborhood that we recognized. It was the only time that we had ever seen it on television. So it's pretty iconic for the city of Boston. And it's a guy who was a former cop who took on the police and corruption and now goes out to fix injustice and fight for the innocent people that are being wronged. And it's a great, great character, a lot of humor, a lot of heart. And for me to get to play that character is pretty special.
So I was looking over your resume last night, and it feels like you've lived about 3 lives in one. And you're only 48. You're just sort of getting into your prime here. When you look back at all of this body of work, what are you proudest of? Is there a movie or a thing that you did or even a big picture, I did that?
Well, I think turning around my life, coming from 25 Peveril Street to ending up on 24 Peveril Street and shooting a movie there and creating jobs and opportunity for other people in the community, inspiring inner city kids and at-risk youth, that's a pretty big deal. But when it comes to the work, I always gravitate towards the true stories, being able to play a professional athlete. The only way that seemed possible to get out of the neighborhood was through sports or becoming a cop or a crook in Boston. Those were the kind of the options. So to be able to play a fighter, to play a football player, to do all those things, those were pretty amazing accomplishments.
Very cool.
Did you know you always wanted to do movies? You started out as a entertainer in the music background. Did you know you wanted to do movies? You wanted to graduate from?
No, it was one of those things where, again, growing up in that little world, other than seeing Spencer or the Brinks Job, we never knew anybody who left Boston and went on to go into the movies. But I loved the movies. My dad, I was the youngest of 9. My dad was a truck driver, and he would take me to the movies every day when I was home. He'd sneak in his 6-pack of Schlitz, and he'd bring a couple of snacks off the truck because he delivered school lunches. And so I'd have a couple packs, things of milk and some Oreos, and we'd go in and we'd watch movies. Right. So I loved the cinema. I grew up watching Jimmy Cagney, John Garfield, Robert Ryan, like really old school guys. And so I had huge appreciation for film. I just didn't know it was possible until I met Penny Marshall, and she cast me in my first movie. And then once I found film, I didn't want to do anything else, of course. Yeah.
So to me, you play one of the all-time great badasses in any role you play. And it feels like you can sort of thrive off your teenage badass days, right? Can you sort of dredge that back up?
Oh, it's right there below the surface. I try to only tap into it when it comes to my work. But I think I'm at a huge advantage having a lot of real life experience that I could draw on when I'm making these movies. And also, I have the luxury of being able to access any information. I'm not afraid to go and study or find out whatever information I need to play a role that may be necessarily outside of my wheelhouse or my comfort zone. But that's a huge advantage for me, having that real life experience to draw on.
What's your favorite role? What's your favorite movie you've ever done?
I would say that would have to be between The Fighter and also a movie that I actually did this year that's coming out next year called Good Joe Bell, which is also a true story. Yeah, based on a guy who was from Oregon. His son had committed suicide. He'd succumbed to bullying. He was gay and was bullied in La Grande, Oregon. And his dad, after being 2 months of laying in his room, not knowing what to do with himself, contemplating suicide himself, decided to get up and walk across the country to raise awareness for his son. And he would literally walking and talking to everybody that he met about equality and acceptance and tolerance.
You did get nominated for The Departed, and it
Yes.
was a Boston movie. It's not
Yeah.
dear to your heart?
Oh, it is, absolutely. I mean, that, again, my dad, who was a big film snob. Now, when I had all the success and, the 8-figure paydays and all that stuff, my dad was not impressed. But when I said, I called him, I said, hey, by the way, I got nominated for an Oscar. He said, now you can call yourself an actor. Yeah. And then he came to the set to visit Jack Nicholson, and that was a big deal for him. So, yeah, certainly a big deal. But
Back to the real world of sports. You're obviously very close with Tom Brady, huge Patriot fan. Gut feeling, stay or go?
Obviously, everybody would love to see him stay, but I really want Tom to do whatever's best for Tom. I mean, if he decides to go elsewhere, so be it. He's brought us so much joy, and 6 Super Bowls, 2 plays away from 8 Super Bowl championships. I mean, what else can you ask for from a guy? I think he's got to do what's best for him and his family.
4 plays away from 2 Super Bowls.
Yes.
So let's not get carried.
Just how great he
Let's
is.
not get carried away.
Yeah, well, but really, it's like, people are like, do you call him? You ask him what he's doing. I'm like, dude, I just hope he's happy and healthy and does what's best for him. You know?
Is it true that somebody FaceTimed you when you were just out shopping one day?
Yeah, I was in Beverly Hills. This was right after they lost, and all of a sudden I'm standing there, and this woman comes up and she's like, "Here." I'm like, "No, I got my phone. It's not my phone." No, she's like, "No, here's somebody who wants to talk to you." There's Shannon.
She's so shy.
I was just saying hi. How are you
He
doing?
never said hi. He never said how you doing. He said your boys are done. They ain't shh. It's over. It's done. They'll never be back there. It's a wrap. Oh
That
my
may
God.
or may, I am not going to confirm or deny that may or may not have happened. But something like that. I'm just like, how you doing? I'm, glad to see you doing
Never
well.
mentioned hi. Never asked how the wife and the kids are. It's crazy though, because I get it. I mean, look, I can understand. I mean, it's annoying how good they've been for the amount of time that they've been good. Like, I cannot stand the Yankees. I don't care if the Red Sox make the playoffs. As long as the Yankees don't, I'm happy. So I get that. But at the same time, again, and with Tom and with everything else, like I just went to the Laker game, and, I'm friendly with LeBron and AD and Rondo and all these people. So I love seeing everybody be successful.
Okay.
But I do, I think the
Okay,
Patriots
so-
got a little more left in the tank.
Okay, but your gut feeling, know him the way you know him, what's your read of the tea leaves? Is he gone?
I would think, for legacy and everything else, it'd be nice if he stayed with the Patriots for his entire career. But I don't know. I mean, and then you
No
just
signal from Tom that you.
no, and not. If I see Tom or I talk to Tom, I just say, hey, how are you doing? How's your wife and your kids? How's your dad? More importantly, your mom. Things of that nature.
So what would happen if he did leave to the Patriots? What would be the immediate result of that?
You know what? I think there'd be a lot of people that would be devastated in New England, but you have to understand,
How good would they be? Would they
Oh,
struggle?
God. You know what? I mean, I have to think that Belichick would figure out a way
There you go.
make
What
it
I've
happen.
been. Coach Belichick, I trust.
I mean, I think there was probably a lot of Bill Belichick that was still hoping that Jimmy G would be there. And, he's always kind
Got
of next
that
man
right.
up and thinking about the future and things of that nature. But, Tom stayed and won another Super Bowl. And those things aren't as easy to accomplish as people think.
Okay, if you could pick a landing spot for Tom, where would you like to see him finish if it comes to that? Do you have?
Oh, if he goes elsewhere?
Yeah.
He's definitely going to want to go somewhere where he can actually have a chance to win again. I don't think he's going to want to go somewhere where he can just get the payday, because he can get the payday anywhere. So maybe Tennessee with Vrabel. That could be interesting. Chargers got a good team.
They do.
So,
Why wouldn't the Patriots ever give him market value? Why wouldn't they? I understand. It's like, yeah, you can take less time, but because you've been so great to us, because they could have easily signed him to an extension this year instead of just getting him $8 million. If they really wanted you, Mark, when they really want you on that project, they really make sure you're on that project.
They got to peel it.
Yeah.
They got to peel it off. It is what it is. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's past that. I really don't know. But I think they'll offer him the money. I think they'd be crazy not to. But they got to put the pieces around him. Would look like a shoe-in for the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year turned into, a pretty dismal season. So.
Do you believe Tom Brady has a Super Bowl left in that tank at 40? What is he?
He'd be 43 at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I think he's got 2 more really good seasons in him.
Okay.
Yes,
I do too.
In the right organization, with everything built around him, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's change to professional basketball and let's stay in Boston. The Celtics are starting to click around Jason Tatum's emergence as a superstar. Gut feeling on their shot to win the Eastern Conference?
The East is tough. I mean, you got Toronto. I don't think Philly really is going to be a factor. But, you know, you got Giannis, and it's I think you see how they played the Lakers. I mean, they blew them out at home. I think they should have won that game in LA. You know, it's a couple missed shots and a couple of bad calls away from winning that game. But it'd be interesting. I think ultimately, LeBron getting in the playoffs, and you know, as long as the Clippers aren't a factor, I think they might be hard to beat. You know, when it's all said and done.
You see what he's saying?
I think
the Clippers. He don't like the Clippers either.
He didn't say
I like
that.
the Clippers. I like Doc Rivers a lot. You know, he brought a ring to the Celtics. You know, can't hate on Doc. The crazy thing is now is I've become friends with so many people that play for different teams, and so many people that I'm friends with in different cities that it's like I also had the luxury of growing up a little bit. Like I always took it personally, and now when somebody left, when Wade Boggs went to the Yankees, but you know I understand it's business. You know, people have families, they have to do what's best for them. So it's easier now. I mean, I've had the joy, I've had the celebrations of winning multiple times in every sport with my team. So, you know, it's like, I don't mind spreading the love a little bit.
So could you see Boston Lakers finals?
That would be awesome. I mean, that would be awesome for the league. You know, it's so nice to see that rivalry. It was amazing how quickly the Lakers turned it around. I mean, they hadn't gone to the playoffs for 6 years, but it still seems like yesterday that they were on top. So,
You in L.A., you probably lived in L.A. as long as you lived in Boston. So they meet in the finals. Who you going with?
I would secretly want the Celtics to win, but I wouldn't be mad, you know, to see LeBron win, to see AD win, to see Rondo win again with another team. I mean, they're pretty stacked.
You know, your first name out of his mouth. Go James. It's hard not to like him. Only you.
Well, Mark has obviously been turned into a Laker fan because he just can't help it. He lives here. He's been going to the games. You took your two.
Magic Johnson's a dear friend. Obviously, Kobe was a dear friend. Yep. I mean, I was on Jimmy Kimmel last night. He was trying to give me a hard time by giving me a Lakers jersey for my son because he knows that he also likes the Lakers.
Right.
He gave me a Magic Johnson jersey. Magic's one of my best buddies. I mean, I love Magic.
You like?
Oh no, I took that jersey. I put it right. I woke my son up when I got home from the premiere to give him the jersey.
Did you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is this other team that he likes to say lives in the basement at Staples. You know, they make them stay downstairs.
Yep.
The Clippers.
Yeah.
And you've been here so long. You know, the Clippers are sort of the stepchild of L.A. They are loaded top to bottom. They are deeper than the Lakers are. I'm not saying they can match the two-man star power at the top, but boy, when you start going down, the
bench, everything is deep. I would say not a chance, but you saw what Kawhi did last year, you know, and with the North. I mean, it was remarkable what he was able to do. Kawhi,
Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrez.
Man,
you want me to keep going?
I just wish Golden State could have been healthy. KD's not hurt and Klay's not hurt. Then we could have seen just how great Kawhi is. Because what would have happened.
Definitely. And I was rooting for the Warriors for sure. I mean, I love seeing, you know, a dynasty being created and that kind of success. You know, it's just fun to watch.
So where are you on LeBron or Jordan GOAT?
Oh, well, Michael, you can't have that conversation yet.
You. Now we got back to perspective.
You can't have that conversation yet, but it's not done. I mean, Michael's never lost in the finals. You know, he's 6 for 6. I mean, he is. You got Michael Jordan. I mean, is by far the greatest of all time. I mean, he's had it all. He does it all.
Mr. Sharpe, he just said by far.
I mean, look, he only wears Jordans. He don't wear any other shoe but Jordan.
So
he, you know,
not true. He's putting a shoe. I got another shoe on right now. Michael's gonna get mad.
Oh, he got an LV.
Those are pretty easy.
Okay, my bad. Jordan the LVs. That's
But
it.
I tell you, LeBron still has a chance to be in the conversation. I think, you know, it depends on what he does if he does in the next 3-4 years, if he goes and wins 3 or 4 in a row, breaks all the records, breaks the scoring records. I mean, they have those conversations. People are still trying to have conversations about Joe Montana or saying Aaron Rodgers, who I also like. It's crazy. Who I also like, being better than Tom Brady. I mean, he's got 6. I don't think you can really argue that conversation.
Well, you just said Jordan is undefeated in the finals. Okay, Joe is undefeated in the Super Bowl. So how is he not to go? If we base it on...
Because it's 6-4.
It's 4-0.
As Mark pointed out, if Eli didn't close his eyes
Oh,
and
my
complete the
goodness.
luckiest pass in Super Bowl history.
I don't even mind. I mind the 18-1. That's the one that really hurts.
That hurt.
That really hurt. I mean, that was like, and I knew, God, we had played them. I think it was the last game of the season.
game.
Only beat them by a field goal.
Yep.
It was like, oh my God, these guys who just don't give up. They don't quit. And I got so many friends. I mean, Pete Berg, who's directed 5 of my movies, including this one, diehard Giants fans. I mean,
He'd let you know.
That's the thing that irks me more than anything.
Which also brought up, there was some speculation that the Giants would be interested in signing Brady, which I said, I just don't think he'd ever. Would he like to be in New York? Yes. But would he be in Eli's shadow, the one, his one nemesis?
I don't think he would be in Eli's shadow. I think he'd be close to his new house in Greenwich, and
Well,
I forgot. We forgot, Skip. He did get a house in Greenwich. Remember we talked about the
I
house.
said that.
But he still had he had an apartment in like Chelsea or somewhere also. Is he still over? He still kept that place?
I don't know, but I mean, it's interesting. It's one of those things where I mean, God, you look at Lamar Jackson's season or Mahomes' season, and everybody's just talking about Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
You're a guy that you rooted
So,
against.
is that guy the best quarterback, Patrick Mahomes?
I think he's the best quarterback playing right now. Yes, but I mean, it's still early to say. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, who's a fantastic quarterback. But guys like Tom Brady, they seem to be there every year. It'd be interesting to see what the Saints do.
Yep.
He said my homeboys is the GOAT right now.
Right now. Mark, so good to have
Hey,
you.
it's a pleasure.
We could have you
Thank
on
you.
all day. To
Thank
talk
you, guys.
about
Oh, it's
every
a
angle
pleasure.
here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I
you.
really appreciate it.
Well, good luck with the Patriots. I really mean that.
Don't forget to watch Mark's new movie, Spencer
Oh my
Confidential.
God.
Next
You're a
week
better
on
actor
Netflix.
than that. I know that already.
Yeah, you can't start
I know you got
laughing.
skills.
No, I only want the best.
Just
No.
FaceTime him
I
later about a few things. Thank you again.
No mercy.
And believe it or not, a punter may have stolen the show at the Combine yesterday. Arizona State's Michael Turk definitely turned some heads when he did a stunning 25 reps on the bench press, which was better than 12 tight ends, 19 linemen, and all 33 of the wide receivers. So, Shannon, how amazed were you by this?
Skip, he's a hero. He's a Combine hero. And you get a buzz, Skip, having gone to the Combine in 90, Skip, when guys run impressive times or they jump high, you hear there's a buzz in the building. To hear a punter, it's not going to help him punt the football, Skip. He's not punting with his arms. But that's very, very impressive. He did more than Jadeveon Clowney did. He's done more than
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes. So that's very impressive. And now he's going to go down in history. He will be in lore forever at the Combine.
I couldn't believe how fast he was repping, man. He was just blasting them out. And here's what I've always said. You know how much I despise place kicking?
Yeah.
But I always defend punters as a crucial part of football. I'd like to eliminate place kicking. But punters are always different than kickers because kickers all come from mostly soccer backgrounds.
Right, correct.
Punters are very athletic.
Right.
Because they have to catch the snap, which can be high or low, and it's coming pretty fast. And they have to be able to move and dodge and duck, the block kicks.
And plus, Skip, you also got a directional punt. You just can't punt the ball down the middle of the field.
No, it's a very athletic thing. All the punters I've known in my many years in the business, they were all good to very good athletes. So I wasn't shocked how strong he was, like Steve Weatherford, who used to punt in New York for the 2 New York teams.
Right.
Bodybuilder. Yeah.
Skip, his uncle, Matt, was a punter in the league, and I think he went to a couple of Pro Bowls. So, but that's very impressive, Skip. You don't normally see punters because punters, Skip, why do I need to be strong? What am I going to do? It's not like he have to push somebody out of bounds, but there is no reason except this is what he wants to do. You can tell he puts a lot of time in the weight room, Skip. This ain't something that he just showed up and all of a sudden. He put time in there, and I'm not just saying just to come to the Combine. He puts time when he was in college. He works at this.
No, he did. And the point is, this doesn't equate to punting, nor does, like, DeMarcus Lawrence did 20.
Right.
Well, does that mean he's not strong? No, it doesn't equate to football strength.
Most of the guys, Skip, that are great, they're not weight room strong.
Yeah. It was great
But
to see, though. You happy
That's
for him.
impressive.
I'm rooting for him.
He ain't got O'Shea.
Know his
O'Shea.
name.
You know,
Okay,
O'Shea.
that is it for us. We'll be back Monday morning at 9:30 Eastern.
No mercy.
Thank you for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Keep an eye out for the weekend edition of the podcast tomorrow morning, featuring this week's best segments. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Fox Sports, one of one.